concrete. Again, what I want to say, to achieve the goal, you have to be extremely clear what is the goal. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not satisfied with Prema Bhakti because it's not clear. Ramananda Roy says, no, your goal is, next he will say, your goal is to serve the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, it's okay, but it's not so clear. Then Ramananda Roy says, no, you have to serve the Lord as the friend. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, oh, this is very good. This is already something which is much more concrete. And then he says, but go further. And Ramananda Roy will explain in more and more details what you have to achieve, what we want to achieve. Because again, unless we are very clear what we want to achieve, we will never achieve this. We will achieve something if we go long enough somewhere. But we have to know very clear what we want to achieve, and then we have to know from where I can get the increasing desire to achieve this particular goal. Then only my practice will bring me to this goal. Basically, every day, while waking up, I have to remind myself, this is my goal. My goal is not even Krishna. My goal is not even love for Krishna. My goal is love for Krishna, how the inhabitants of Vrindavan love him. Why Christians have their experience? Because they have their goal. They have their relationship and their understanding of what is the goal. So they will have accordingly their experience. We have our goal. And if we want to have the experience, we have to be very clear about what is the goal. And then we also have to be very clear how to increase our desire to achieve this particular goal. And therefore, in our tradition, what we have, first of all, we have sadhu sangha, when we hear people who speak about this. And second of all, we're supposed to read how the inhabitants of Vrindavan love Krishna, how Mother Yashoda loves Krishna, in which way she loves Krishna. If we hear it from some source and if we read, then the same desire will definitely appear in our heart, and when it will become sufficiently strong, then only our practice will bring us to this goal. Why the transformation, coming back to the original topic which I announced, why the transformation does not take place? Now, my solution tonight, besides all other things which are there, all other factors which are definitely there, is that we don't have properly established goal in our heart. We don't believe in this goal. We don't really want to achieve this goal. We have some other goal. Liberation is a nice goal. I don't want to suffer in this world. I don't want to be born in this world again. No, not again. Not again. What shall I do? Chant Hare Krishna? No problem. I will chant Hare Krishna. But Hare Krishna is not for this. For that you can do some pranayama or whatever, or chant Om, or take some mushrooms. I don't know. It's probably easier. I don't know, maybe not easier, but Hare Krishna is also way. But I'm not talking about this. I am talking why the transformation doesn't take place. The transformation doesn't take place because for transformation to take place, we need to concentrate all our energy into this. And therefore, we have to be convinced, completely sure. When people have very clear goal, even if it's ridiculous goal, but if they have the goal very clear in their mind, they achieve it, no doubt about it. They become rich, or they become some other, They because they wake up and they think, this is my goal. All those people who have the special, notebooks, this is my goal, to remind themselves and reaffirm, it's all artificial. If you have goal, you have the goal. But again, because we are not so established in this goal, we have to read, we have to associate, and we have to remind ourselves again and again and again. And but the most important is that during some spiritual practices, when we are in the association of devotees, we have little glimpses of what it means to achieve this goal. How nice it is when the heart is completely pure from envy and everything else, and only loves Krishna, and how beautiful Krishna is. So what we have to do also, because sometimes we say that this is some not very significant experience or whatever. We have to collect these little specks of experiences in our heart and remind ourselves again and again and again about these beautiful experiences. We have to come back to these experiences. Like probably many of you were in Vrindavan, and every one of you who was in Vrindavan knows how wonderful Vrindavan is. Why should you be in Berlin? You can be in Vrindavan. And that's what Srila Rupa Goswami tells us. Tishtam vraje yadanuragi tananugami. You should live in Vrindavan. Even if you live in Berlin, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can live in Vrindavan. It means that you have some experience in your heart. But the problem is that we have this experience in the heart, but we don't take it so seriously. If we know the goal very clearly and know that this is, Srimad Bhagavatam gives us experience, sometimes Hare Krishna mantra gives us this experience, association with devotees gives us this experience, Holy Dham gives us this experience, but this experience are real. Everything else is illusion. But somehow or other, we prefer to live in this illusion instead of living in this reality of the highest possible goal. Again, why? Because we don't take it seriously. So again, my little point, which I repeat many times already, and I don't want to repeat it again, but I want to drive this point home, is that to achieve success in our path of internal transformation, one very important condition is to understand the goal and to relate to this goal. Not to officially put this goal in my door. My goal is Prema Bhakti Krishna in Vrindavan. Knock 3 times and then I will open it. Not to do it formally, officially, without putting the heart. Krishna is there. The goal which we have is a very peculiar one. To have any experience in this life, you need 3 things. To have any experience in this life, the 3 conditions should be there. One condition is, the ability. For example, you want to eat a nice food. If you want to have experience of a nice meal, the 3 conditions should be there. First, the food should be there. So the opportunity should be there. The ability for you to eat this food should be there. If you don't have tongue, even if the nice meal is in front of you, you will not be able to enjoy the meal. And then the desire should be there, right? These 3 things. If you have good meal and good tongue, but no desire, you will not get the experience. For any experience in this life, you need these 3 things. You agree with me? The ability, the opportunity, and the desire. Right? In case of Krishna Bhakti, you need only 2 things. to have the experience of Krishna Bhakti, you need only two things. Which one? Out of three? Desire for sure. You definitely have to have desire. What I want to say is that ultimately the opportunity is given by God. The ability which we have, being the soul, but the opportunity doesn't depend on us. And therefore, in one sense, it's easier in a spiritual life than in the material life to get a spiritual experience. But you still need the desire and of course the ability. Ability is there. The ability is this, the ability of the soul, which is looking for happiness, to practice this. It's there. We have it. And what is actually, and this is again the main topic, what is actually missing is the desire. The opportunity will be given to you. The ability is already there, because you are the soul. You're not this body, you're the soul. If you add to this ability and the opportunity which is Krishna is ready to give to you, strong desire, then the experience will be there. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the only thing which you need is the strong desire. Everything else is already there. The ability is there, the opportunity Krishna is ready to give to you. But desire, unfortunately, is not there. Where to get the desire? Again, from hearing and from associating, from reading the books of Srila Prabhupada, and from being very clear that this is really what I want. And therefore, even though we say Sambandha Videya Prayojana, the real sequence is that Sambandha, I understand that I am the soul, and then Prayojana. This is my goal. Avideya follows it. Avideya or practice is the result of it. So Sambandha, Prayojana, and then Avideya. This is the proper sequence in our mind, which has to be established. And therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami, when he describes this Prayojana in his last Sandarbha, in his Priti Sandarbha, what he does in the beginning, he makes a very thorough analysis, and he says, he proves to us philosophically, on a very deep level, that love of God, and not only love of God, love of Krishna in Vrindavan, is really what we want. Is really what everyone wants. This is the condition where only I can be completely satisfied. And if we look, for example, in Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Sanatana Goswami, again we see he establishes this goal. He says, this is not real, this kind of mercy is not real, this is not mercy, this is not mercy, this is not mercy, this is the real mercy, this is the real goal. This is, and I think the first endeavor which we have to have is to be firmly established that this is my goal, this is what I need. And if this is established, then the practice will follow and the transformation will take place. If this is not established, no matter what you do, the transformation will not take place. Because you will not do it properly with full vigor and full desire and full energy. This is basically what I wanted to say tonight. I'm really sorry for being so boring, but I thought that this is important for us to really understand. Really again and again ask ourselves, do I really want this? Do I really want this? Or I want something else? And I am only pretending that I want to love Krishna in Vrindavan. And so many times people, they do this and then, they become bewildered and they take some other path or try to pursue some other goal. So, but if we are convinced, then for sure we will have success. Krishna will make sure that we will have success. If we are not convinced, Krishna is also not convinced. You know, if we are not convinced what we want, Krishna is very intelligent. If we want something else, Krishna will give us something else. Don't worry, you will get what you want. But you will be cheated. By whom? By Krishna?
Yourself.
No. By yourselves. So we came to this amazing movement where we can get something really amazing. Don't allow to be cheated. So that's the only little message which I want to say. It's simple, but at the same time not so simple, because again, it requires some endeavor to establish this goal firmly in the heart. And then you will achieve it, no problem. And when you will achieve it, please remember about my fallen self and pray for me at this moment. Okay, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Bhakti Vijnana Goswami ki jai.
Yeah?
Я хотела спросить, в начале лекции вы сказали, что наши джапы, получается, джапы для галочки, потому что наша цель поставлена неверно. Но если нашей целью, эта цель может, правильная цель может стать нашей целью, если только мы ее действительно воспримем как свою собственную. Но это очень долгий путь. И вот в этот переходный период, когда мы хотим, чтобы она стала нашей целью, как мне читать джапу для галочки, когда у нас еще и нет этой цели в сердце?
Okay, very good question. The question is that I said in the lecture that sometimes we chant japa as a tick exercise, and it should not be the tick exercise, but in order not to do this, we have to establish this goal very firmly in the heart, but at the same time it's not an immediate, it cannot be achieved so quickly. So what to do in the meantime, when the goal may not be established so firmly, but you know, that's the question. Srila Prabhupada explains this at the end of the purport. He says, the result of sadhana bhakti must be ecstatic love, attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He very emphatically says this. The result must be ecstatic love. In other words, we have to understand that this is the goal of sadhana, which we have, which is also called prema bhakti. In the neophyte stage, sadhana bhakti includes faith, association with devotees, practicing devotional service. Thus, one is freed from unwanted things, then becomes fixed in devotional service and increases the desire to act in devotional service. So what Prabhupada explains is that this ladder, bhakti ladder, which is there, serves as a very important tool for us. Unfortunately, we don't use it as a tool sometimes. You know, if we are in a very initial stage of our devotional service, then our goal, which is achievable and real, and also which we can relate to, is sadhu sangha. I have to have very ardent desire, because I understand that I can only get something higher if I intimately associate with sadhu. It doesn't mean, you know, close physical association. It means associate in the heart. It means that I have to open my heart to his message. I have to really be on the same wavelengths. And if I achieve this goal of, you know, sadhu sangha, then my next goal is to really systematically hear the message which sadhu is giving to us, not in a chaotic way as we usually do. Please tell me about Rasa Lila as soon as possible, otherwise I will go somewhere else, I will leave ISKCON. I heard so many things, I'm leaving ISKCON. One friend of mine said, you cannot leave ISKCON, but to join ISKCON would be a nice idea. Those people who want to leave ISKCON, they never joined. Because ISKCON is the idea of Krishna consciousness. So what I want to say is that our next goal is to practice in a very proper way, which again we can relate to worship God in a proper way. And then while doing this, we have another goal, to purify the heart from unwanted things. Because we all know that we have so many programs which are there recorded in our subconsciousness. And if we really want to purify the heart, it's again very real goal which we can relate to. And in the meantime, while associating with sadhus, we can increase our desire more and more and more. And still we have to see the highest goal. We have to at least theoretically understand that there's nothing higher. That this is what I want. Krishna is so nice. Like recently I met with one lady who just came, and she just recently met devotees and started associating with them. And she wrote to me a very beautiful thing. She said, now finally I know that God is very beautiful, useful person in a very beautiful place, and I want to go there. So, she already knows this. And of course, in the beginning we all know this, then we forget, and we somehow or other think that he is an old, nasty, revengeful person who will send us to hell if we don't chant 16 rounds every day. we somehow lose the perspective. Whereas the real progress is that to make this perspective more and more clear. To every day try to come little closer, like if you have a telescope and you or this binocular, and you make the focus more clear. So in the same way, all these scriptures, they describe the goal. Try to make it more clear, because this is the goal. And Srila Jiva Goswami proves it very, very thoroughly. And everything else is nice, psychology and astrology and whatnot. But it becomes very bad when it eclipses the real goal. It's nice if it has its proper place. It's very bad when it eclipses the goal. And that's why this conversation of Ramananda Rai, Chaitanya Mahāprabhu is so important for us to understand. Yes.
В бизнесе есть такое правило. Между тобой, где ты сейчас стоишь, и там, где твоя цель, есть только принятое решение. То есть, пока я не приму решение, моя цель может отодвигаться во времени. Сегодня сделал что-то для цели, завтра не сделал. А если я принял решение, то начинаю конкретными шагами двигаться к этой цели каждый день. Насколько можно это правило соотнести в духовную практику? Могу ли я сказать: Кришна, все, я принял решение, хочу с тобой отношения? Да, и каждый день практиковать для этого. Не будет ли это как-то, я не знаю, как приказ или Насколько это можно сделать в духовной практике?
This question is, in business there is a rule, if you have a goal, between you, your present state and your goal, there is only one thing which is in between, is your decision. And if you take a decision, then you will do every day something which will approach you to goal. Is it possible to adopt the same principle in spiritual life? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika buddhiha keha kuru nandana. He praises this quality of determination or decision making. This is my goal. And Prabhupada, he gives a beautiful story about the sparrow and the eggs. A little sparrow, her eggs was stolen by the ocean. And the sparrow said, I will just, I will dry up this ocean if he doesn't give me back my eggs. And sure enough, ultimately Garuda came, and ocean became very frightened and said, you better take these eggs. So, and this thing is, in Sanskrit, it's called titiranyaya, the logic of a sparrow. From the ordinary point of view, this logic seems to be very illogical. What is so logical about little sparrow trying to dry up the ocean? It's not very logical, isn't it? But it's a great logic. Titiranyaya is this determination. Yes, I want to do it, and yes, Krishna will help. In this particular story, Garuda came to help, and that shows the law of nature. If somebody has this strong determination, for sure the whole material nature will first try to dissuade you and check the strength of your desire, but then ultimately will say, yeah, he's a nice guy, let him come to Krishna. Yes.
Что случается с тем временем, когда ты думал, что у тебя есть цель, и ты пришел в духовную организацию и старался быть искренним, старался служить, но через довольно длительный промежуток времени понял, что все, что ты делал, это было лишь компенсация того опыта недостатка любви, да, который ты не получил от своих родителей. И я знаю, что так часто происходит. И это обесценивается, или что происходит с этим временем?
The question is, sometimes people come to spiritual organization and they have this strong desire to achieve the higher goal, and they are convinced that this is their goal, and they practice it for a long time, and after a long time they realize that their real desire was the lack of love which they didn't get during the childhood, and they actually wanted to get it in this spiritual organization. It often happens. It's indeed often happens, and people who are somewhat deprived of love or loving affection during the childhood, they join some spiritual organization and they try to get what they were deprived in. So the question was, does this practice in the meantime counts? Is it a real spiritual practice, or this is something which is wasted time? No, it's not wasted time. It's because during this time you realized that your motivation was wrong, and that requires the purification of the heart. Initially, when you do it, some initial purification need to take place for you to understand your real motives, because it's unfair to expect that from the very beginning people will have very clear motives. And therefore this anartha nivriti stage is there. Anartha nivriti stage is when you really understand that previously my motives were not pure. But this is the clearing stage. So this is the whole stage before prepared you for this moment when you realize that, oh my goodness, what am I doing here? I am not really striving for this goal. My goal is different. My goal is quite low. But you know, you need some time to preliminarily purify your heart to understand what is your real motivation. But that's still, nevertheless, is very important. So it's not wasted, don't worry.
Можно тогда еще в продолжение? А если в этом теле не хватило времени, ну то есть хватило времени только для того, чтобы определить вот эту конечную цель, но ты еще не понимаешь даже примерно, какие шаги тебе нужно туда делать, и она еще, может быть, даже не так сильно оформилась, не приняла внутри такие очертания.
This is already cheating. So the continuation of this question is that okay, fine. After a long time, you realize that this is the spiritual goal was not your real goal. But what if you don't have enough time to establish the spiritual goal in your heart and this and that? It's actually when you realize this, you will do everything possible to establish the proper goal in the heart. It's you know, you don't need much time for this. Don't postpone it. Don't say, this time I will just, you know, take care of my bad childhood and next lifetime I will go to Krishna. No, 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 no. You just go to somebody and you listen to somebody and you just, you know, by hook and by crook you do it. When you realize that my goal is not really pure, try by all means find somebody who will help you to become established in this goal. And don't say that, no, there's not enough time. There's enough time, there's plenty of time. Krishna is there. And he says, yeah, if you say there's not enough time, yeah, of course, Krishna is not in a hurry. Yes.
Если мы уже добились того, что у нас есть сильное желание, и мы решили для себя, вот как Прабhu спрашивал про бизнес, мы уже решили, все, иду точно, знаю куда, поняла цель, делаю все. Как к этому относится внешняя энергия Господа, Майя? Начинает ли она нас еще больше испытывать? Или она как бы понимает, окей, с этим человеком все ясно, пусть идет уже?
If we decided very clearly that this is our goal, I'm going, so what will be the reaction of Maya? Will she leave us alone or will she try to dissuade us from this path? Maya is very intelligent and she knows better. We may think that we are firmly established, but Maya will try to say, maybe you want this, or maybe you want this, or, you know. And when you're completely 100% firmly established, Maya will push you in the direction of Krishna. But before that, she will try to, you know, push you in an opposite direction. I know it in my own example. It's a stupid example, but still I'll give it. You know, when I became vegetarian, in the beginning I was really shy and I didn't want to say that I'm vegetarian because you're living in all these meat eaters. But then finally they found out, and every time when I would meet my relatives, they would say, when you will give up this stupid vegetarianism. You know, every time they would try to do it. And then at one point they stopped doing this. And I asked myself, why did they stop doing this? And I realized that because I became completely convinced inside. And therefore they stopped doing this. Because I was not convinced, they were still trying to say, you know, nah, just, you know, be normal. But when I became convinced, then it's not a problem. Sometimes we are very shy, we're very shy being devotees, we are strange. It's all hidden doubts, hidden or maybe not so hidden doubts. Hidden from ourselves. Others see it. We don't see it. And Maya definitely sees it. So, when you don't have any doubts, Maya will help you. Until you have doubts, Maya will also help you to either clear your doubts or go for your doubts.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess we should go. Okay.
Махарадж, низкий вам поклон, что вы приехали к нам. Это чудо для Берлина. И вопрос касается тех двух вопросов, что были заданы. До того момента, пока мы не нашли цель Кришне, которая бы полностью зажгла наше сердце, мы могли идти к ней. Остаются цели материальные. И периодически, особенно когда мы отдаляемся от общения с преданными, они становятся ярче и закрывают ту цель, к которой мы идем к Кришне. И такие цели, которые по работе и еще где-то, не получается выключить полностью. И после ты приходишь к преданным, и тебе хочется выбросить все эти остальные цели как можно подальше. Ты говоришь себе никогда больше. И вообще, а потом возвращаешься, и эти цели становятся привлекательнее, чем Кришна. Как быть? Что делать с ними?
The question is that we have the goal of Krishna consciousness, and there are so many other material goals, and sometimes we, go a little further away from Krishna consciousness, and other goals take over our heart and become more attractive to us. And then we come back to devotees, and again we want to come. What to do in this period? As I said, other goals are not bad if they eclipse the real goal of life. But if we try to adjust our goals in such a way that they are not contradict to our higher goal, but kind of bring us closer to this goal. And it's sometimes an art, because Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada used to say that you don't have to deny anything, you just have to add Krishna. We have this very black and white mentality. We say Krishna or not Krishna, and we always, have this conflict, internal conflict in ourselves. The real trick is not to be in this state of internal conflict, but to understand how ultimately even these material goals can bring us closer to Krishna. And therefore this gradual process is there. And even Prabhupada, he was living the life of householder. What we have to do, the point number one, we have to always associate with devotees which will give us strength to pursue the real goal. And then, as far as the material goals are concerned, there are few categories of material goals. Some material goals are detrimental to Krishna consciousness. We have to give them up. They're not good. They're really not good. We know that this is some goals which we really have to understand that this should be given up. Other goals are maybe neutral to Krishna consciousness. They're okay. And other goals, we try to make these neutral goals or other goals that they are kind of favorable. They help us in our ultimate goal. And there are so many other things, but which we have to do. But we have to do them for achieving the ultimate goal. Why I'm doing this? To achieve the ultimate goal. And I have to clearly understand how achieving this particular goal helped me to achieve the ultimate goal. then there will be no problem. But detrimental goals, yes, they have to be. They're useless goals. Why? They're foolish goals. They only seem to be the goals because we associate with people who have these goals. And we get infected, or we get polluted or contaminated by their desires. So be careful when it comes to association, and try to always remind yourself. Just get up in the morning and say, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna. I am yours, and you're mine. Yes.
Я могу громко задать вопрос.
Okay.
Прочитала сегодня в вашей книге «Устойчивость» о том, что когда ты идешь на пути к цели, очень важно вовремя себя интроспектировать. Я хотела вас спросить, какими конкретными вопросами я могу делать эту интроспекцию, чтобы понимать их?
The question is, when we're trying to achieve the goal, it's important to do some introspection to understand what's really going on in the heart. It's simple, you know, what is my real goal? Do I really want this goal? And am I doing everything possible and impossible to achieve this goal? This is the questions which we have to ask ourselves. To be sincere, you know, am I deviating from the goal? Am I going some other direction, or am coming closer? Because again, this motivation is a very tricky thing. You know, there is people usually they rationalize their ideas. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I guess that's it. Sadashiva Prabhu, thank you very much. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Swami Maharaj ki
Jai!